If you listen to the show, you already know that we cannot exist without our sponsors. They are the ones who make things happen behind the scenes. So let's acknowledge Fuji Sports. We've been working with these guys for a while now, not only as far as this podcast is concerned, but also at the RŌL Academy. We've had their gear. I personally use their gis. What a phenomenal product.
Yeah, I mean, jiu-jitsu, judo, MMA, tape, bags, anything you need for your jiu-jitsu journey, you can find at fujisports.com.
Let's talk RŌL TV. There's so much content on there. It's ridiculous at this point. But I think what is even more intriguing, as time went on during the project, we've been recording most of the events that were taking place here at RŌL Academy. At this point, I mean, we have guys like Chris Howder, Armin Fati, Rafael Lovato Sr., and Pete the Greek. I mean, there are so many different events that we've kind of recorded it. Don't you think that's amazing? I mean, points of reflection and kind of going back for all the students to see what really happened and refresh their memory.
Yeah, I think it's great, you know, being able to go back and look at all these high-level practitioners, Octavio Cudo, like one of the names you didn't mention. And I mean, just these guys that have been doing this for so long come in, teach these amazing seminars and workshops, and it's all recorded and there for you to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you want to get additional savings on all this, type in code RŌL Radio at the coupon and get additional 30% off of your membership.
Nice. Go to rolacademy.tv. What's up, everyone, and welcome back. If you haven't already, please remember to hit the like, share, subscribe, download, listen, and whatever other button there is, and leave us a review wherever you do listen. And that ensures that we can continue bringing you the great guests and amazing content that you've come to expect. Today's guest is a 6th degree black belt and is one of the most respected instructors and academy owners in Southern California. Paulo Guillobel joins us to discuss what he still loves about jiu-jitsu after 35 years on the mats, his decision to move from Brazil to the United States, how the mats are a great equalizer, and a ton more. Here's the RŌL Radio with a former Masters No-Gi and Gi Worlds and Pan American champion, author, and owner and instructor at Guillobel Jiu Jitsu in San Clemente, California, Paulo Guillobel.
Welcome to RŌL Radio.
And we are live. And today, actually, I'm without Gary. Gary had to take a personal day for his kids. So we'll have a great conversation. And first of all, right off the bat, welcome to the show. Thanks for being with us. And right away, I want to apologize for last week. I mean, the listeners don't know, but we scheduled this last week, and we literally got frozen here in Chicago area. It was quite a winter. It was really, really cold. And so first of all, my apologies, but two, also thank you for rescheduling this and coming back today. And I have to say, I loved your response to my message that it was 60 degrees by you, and you were cold too.
Yeah. California is a different kind of cold, especially south.
Yeah. So how is everything going for you? How is California treating you? I mean, how is life? How is jiu-jitsu life treating you today?
All right. Well, always excited. I really liked the place I picked to live here in California, in San Clemente, South California, like Orange County. The weather is great. Actually, people actually say here is one of the best weathers in the world. That's why I'm getting a little spoiled. When it's kind of cold, like 60 degrees. I'm like, oh man, it's kind of cold here. The school is doing great. I've been here for since 2005. Now it's been almost 20 years, right?
Oh, 20 years. Yeah.
We just moved to a new location, which is is probably going to be our location for a very long time. And so can't complain. Been training, staying healthy. Spending time with my students, and friends, so I think it's as you probably know, it's a great lifestyle.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, many don't understand what the instructor lifestyle is like. I mean, besides all the work, there was these rewarding points, like really connecting with your students and hanging out with your students and allowing your students to grow, right? And you've been on the mat for a very, very long time. How long do you have a grasp of how long it's been on the mat for you, like total, since the day one?
Yeah. I started in 1988. It was right before I think I turned 14. So it was, I think, the last month of 13 years old. So, I'm going to be 50 this year. So that makes
More than half of your life. Let's just put it that way.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Jiu-Jitsu is a lot more than half of my life. It's basically my whole life.
What is the one thing that you love the most about it? And like, tell me more than just you love jiu-jitsu, because I think we all love jiu-jitsu, but there's something unique about doing jiu-jitsu for a living.
Okay. I think the challenge for me, like, one of the things I like the most, is to be able to keep improving, consistently, have this motivation and this desire to keep going the mat, keep doing my best, even many years later. It's this feeling of like going over there, what's going to happen. Like is this game. It's basically like back in the days when I was young, one of my favorite games was playing chess. So I think I look jiu-jitsu this way. I look jiu-jitsu as a consistent daily chess game that's played with our body, and we try to figure out our situations, the let's say problems, right? Like, try to find solutions for those things on a daily basis. And also, the physical part too, because, I think it motivates you to stay on top of your body, physical condition, because if you really want to be at your best at all times, I think you should be also focused on that too. So yeah, basically is the fun of the game, is the intellectual part of it, is going home and thinking about, oh, what can I do to improve? What did I do wrong here? How can I, what I mean? How can I add this technique to my game? Because we all know that it's just kind of almost like infinite, right? Uh, you think you know everything. Actually, I don't even pass through my mind, but if I ever think, oh, one day you're gonna know everything, it's not gonna happen.
Do you
Just
think
like
do you think that's why so many students love jiu-jitsu? Because not only it's physical, we working out, we getting this physical stimulation and we stay in shape, but also our minds stay really sharp. Like just like you mentioned, you have to troubleshoot. You have to try to figure stuff out. It's a chess. And it almost never is the same, right? Like once you figure one thing out,
yeah,
something else happens. And
yeah.
like it never ends.
There's so many variables. Yes, I think so. Yeah, because you know, a lot of people they live a stressful life, and sometimes boring, right? Sometimes boring, like you do the same thing every day, go to work, go home, watch TV, blah blah blah. So I think it's a way to they feel like when you go there is kind of like a stress release. Um, you know, also this is challenging part of it that it keeps them coming back. I think because the desire of get better, understand the game, they feel like why that guy does it and I can do it. Like I have to find out secrets. How to do this thing, how to do that thing, and obviously it's not easy. Especially for the beginners. You know, because there's a lot going on. There's a lot to digest, right? But the ones that stick around with patience, and fall in love like we did, they have a lot of benefits from it for sure, mentally, physically. So
It all
Yeah.
adds up together, yeah. You mentioned that you started at the age of 14, 1988. And I often ask all of our guests, at least I try, do you remember your very first day? Do you remember
Yeah,
the first day when you stepped on the mat?
I did. I did. Well, it was like, well, the reason I started, was because I was being bullied at school. Uh, so I have this guy, and it happened twice. One guy, and then that guy opened up for I'm thinking about, you know, um, what we're gonna do, about it. And then this other guy came up. He wasn't actually bullying me. He was bullying two of my friends who were smaller than me, but was coming close to me. And I think, man, one day this thing's gonna come to me, and this guy's bigger and stronger. The guy was like a green belt in karate. Uh, and I didn't know by then it was a green belt in karate, but he has this demeanor, like it's the guy that's 14 years old who had beard,
Mm.
and so one day I actually went to look for karate. I was like karate, karate kid and all that stuff. And I went to a karate school. Actually, I didn't walk in. I walked into the door. I was looking from outside. It was in this sport club in Brazil. And guess what? Who is in there? It's the bully. And then I'm like, oh man, the guy's a green belt, so there's no point for me to do karate because how am I gonna defend against him if he's always gonna be higher ranked than me and stronger than me. Then I started thinking, talking to some people in the neighborhood that I grew up with was Barra da Tijuca, and I bumped into some of my friends that were like thinking about doing jiu-jitsu. Jiu-jitsu back then was not famous, like not famous at all. Like it was famous, but was like kind of like not famous to me, They have the Gracie family hike, like Renzo was there. So I knew about Renzo. I knew about Half and High, and but that's it, and then I never thought about, okay, I'm gonna do that. And then three of my friends like, let's do it, and we decided to go. That's the guy that gave my sensei, that gave me black belt, George Pereira. So he was teaching at this place called Nova Ipanema, which is in Barra. It's like a close like complex of buildings and houses together. And so we set up, okay, let's go all together, all three of us together, all four of us together. And then we did that, and it was a way to get there and not be, because we were like intimidated, right? We were intimidated to go there and jump in the class with a bunch of other people even older than us, But when you got there, we had like it was a blast, like we actually bumped into other people that we knew, I felt like that was for me. I felt like I found what I was looking for. I found something that's gonna give me the courage and the power and the empower me to be able to defend myself against bullies.
So, first of all, before the first day, before you go there for the first time with your friends, do you know what jiu-jitsu is? Like, do you have any idea what it is?
No clue.
No clue. So what are your expectations? Like, you were 14, so at that point, like,
Yeah.
you're thinking something. You're gonna be fighting. I don't know what you're gonna be striking. Like, what's in your mind?
I don't know. That's something I don't remember much. I was just going with the flow because I have two other friends that they did it. They were doing it. One was like a yellow belt at the time, which was a big deal for kids. Yellow belt. Another one was an orange belt. Actually, there's probably more. I think there's a couple other people that I ended up finding out they were like friends, and they were like orange belts, yellow belts. And they were like, "Oh, let's go, man, let's go!" Like that's the thing to do. That's the best martial art. Blah blah blah. And yeah, when I got there, I have no clue. But one thing that helped me stay, I think, was George's focus on self-defense. He was really focused actually on things that I wanted to be focused at, like we did like trainings with people slapping each other. We did like a group of 10 people against 2 people. When you can slap and kick, like was wild. It was actually really, that's exactly what I was looking for, because I was thinking like doing this as a 14-year-old boy I can defend against anybody. Now I'm used to it. Now I know how to get close, double leg, and we were getting beat up by the older kids too. So it wasn't just training jiu-jitsu. We were actually doing a lot more like it was kind of very old school training. There's like times that he literally closed all the doors and turned off all the lights. and the people started, okay, now everybody's gonna go at each other and gonna slap whoever you see or whatever you feel like, and you can go to the ground, and then you just see the hands go zoom, zoom, passing by your ear, and then you throw somebody on the ground. I don't know what the train was for. Why the lights were awful, but it was pretty scary at the same time. Was really fun, So
were moments like this the way why you sticked around for so long? Was it moments like this, the fun, the connection, but at the same time the challenge?
Yeah, the adrenaline for sure.
Yeah, because that's what keeps us going, right? I mean, and it's not only jiu-jitsu. I mean, anything we do, we have to be interested, we have to be connected, and more of our friends do it, then more we are encouraged to do it too, right?
Yes, and also the friendship we built, when you start getting there, and then it becomes a new community, right? Like a new family, I would say, like you start having friends from there, hanging out with this group of people there, the same mind, the same goals, that's one of the points that keep us together for sure.
So you were 14, you go to the first class, it's fun, you continue training. At which point does this become a little bit more serious? At which point, you thinking about this as something more than just fun, than just friends?
Yeah, well, when they start competing, before jiu-jitsu, I was playing basketball for like 5 years. I was competing, competing the state tournament, captain of my team. So I love competition. I think I've been competing my whole life, even before basketball. And then I competed basketball for 5 years, and it was like this. I haven't little by little I started to not fade away from basketball. I was growing up, and then I started hanging out with other people. So the first time I competed, which wasn't too far, like I think I competed the first time I had 2 months of jiu-jitsu, something like that, 2 or 3 months. And it was like a crazy competition. I don't remember anything that happened, anywhere. But I remember I won the first fight, and then I remember I lost the second fight. I don't even know how, like somehow the guy was like side control me. I don't remember anything because, I was just trying to figure it out. I was like blanked, right? But that feeling, put me back in that mind, the state of mind that like, okay, I like competing, and there's a competition here, which is a little bit harder than basketball because it's just you, there's just you against someone, which is not like you cannot blame on anybody. It has to be you. So, and then I started to take it more seriously, and started to go to more competitions. I started doing, better. And I won, I started winning a couple, and that set me to really wanted to be the best competitor that could ever possibly be.
What are the common things that you found between basketball competition and jiu-jitsu competition?
Well, I would say how you deal with it, right? Because the commonality, I think, is just, is how, like the pressure, right? You got to go there and play. Basketball was also in a gymnasium somewhere, a bunch of people from your team, from the other team families, not as many as jiu-jitsu, because there's so many families, there's so many, but, a good number of people that thing that that's a feeling that you have to learn how to be calm and collected, under a lot of pressure. And that's something that can carry on to jiu-jitsu for sure. Also the willingness of giving your best, like to try to give your best, to see what happens, so those pretty much those things. I remember, like, in the beginning of jiu-jitsu, being used to compete, being more calm, even though I wasn't as calm as I was playing basketball because it was something new. But I could see that spark was in me, the spark of trying to do my best, the spark of even to calm myself and be able to understand the rules, understand how I can win. It's going to be by points, it's going to be by this, it's going to be by submission. So this whole thing, because basketball also, there's a bunch of rules and points, so maybe that too, maybe the point system and how to understand, how to play with it, play with the rules, play with the referee. Because I remember in basketball, I have to play the referee too. You know what I mean? You have to kind of like, you can't complain too much. You have to complain a little, because complain too much, the referee doesn't like you. But you have to complain sometimes when people start to like hit in a certain way. The referee is not, and make sure that the referee sees something, you'll be able to acknowledge that, okay, that happened a couple of times. So you know what I mean? Like, I have to give this guy something. So all those things combined, I think.
It's like strategy, right? I mean,
Yeah.
ultimately, it's a game, right?
Exactly.
Whether it's jiu-jitsu or swimming or basketball or whatever other sport you play, it is a game. And I think that's what a lot of people forget, that ultimately it is a game. It has a rule set. There are rules around it, and you have to play within those rules, and referee or some kind of higher body will
Yes.
be judging you in some sense, right?
Exactly. And sometimes decide the winner of the game.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we don't want to go through that, but it happens a lot more often than not.
But I think that's important to really acknowledge too, because in every game, the referee is a human too, and they see things certain way, and they might not see it your way. And I think that sometimes it's forgotten too. Sometimes we find ourselves in these situations when we see, well, I did blah, 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 and he didn't see it, and now I'm supposed to win. And you know what? Do you know what I mean? Like,
yes, completely.
Sometimes things don't happen fair, right?
Yeah, many times, I thought I got robbed, right? I said, man, it's referee robbed. That wasn't one time, it was many times.
Yeah.
Sometimes, actually, everyone thought that. But in a way, because, personally, I referee a couple of times. It's funny because sometimes people from my BJF ask me, why you don't referee? I say, well, because I'm not crazy.
No shoes too.
Referee, it takes like, it has to be. I'm not patient enough to be a referee. You know what I mean? Like, and now by I understand them, because it's not a tough. It's definitely tough. It's actually a tough job. People calling them. You know what I mean? Calling them, putting pressure on them outside. You have to be focused on that. Everything that happened and in a fight. Like in jiu-jitsu, things can move pretty quickly, especially on the low level, the white belts. And sometimes white belts, literally, one guy's mounted the guy, 2 seconds later, the other guy that was being mounted now is mounted the guy. And 10 seconds later, now the other guy is getting like, every time you move your face, something happens. So you have to be really focused in it. And only one fight is 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and hundreds of fights in a row,
Yeah.
So yeah, I think being able to play, thinking about what the referee is thinking, helps a lot, and make sure that, look, the guy's doing X, but I'm doing a lot more than X, and you have to make sure that there is clear, so the referee can see that you're doing more, that you want more, that you're not trying to hold on to the fight, not trying to stall. Even when you want to stall, you have to kind of like, making a way to look like you don't. So there's a lot of things involved for sure.
Yeah, and I give referees a lot of credit on all sports, but particularly in jiu-jitsu. Like, I had a privilege of refereeing a few times. I'm sure you're familiar. Like if you register with IBJJF, you have to referee a certain amount of times and all that stuff. And so like I had that privilege to have that experience, and I agree with you. It's not easy. And I think what gets me the most is that you are responsible for the result. And the result, it's this is your call, right? And
Yes.
if you make the wrong call at the beginning of the bracket, that could have impact on everything that happens afterwards, right? I mean, so I give all these guys who do referee, especially those who do it on regular basis on professional level. I mean, that's my head goes off to them. Like that's a lot of skill, patience, and man,
sure.
I mean, it's
For sure.
But at the same time, it's so easy for us to judge when we're sitting in front of TV and we're watching. It's like, oh, what is he doing? He didn't see this.
No,
Right?
yeah. We have to be patient with the
Yeah.
referees for sure. Like they're human beings, like you said. You know, nowadays I don't think they want to make any mistakes on purpose. Like, back in the days, like we had this a little bit because back in the days sometimes it was just like, let's say we're gonna fight against the Carson Gracie team, right? All the referees are from Carson Gracie. Back in the days used to be flags, right? So
Yeah.
all the flags are from Carson Gracie team, and Carson Gracie is telling them to give the victory to somebody else. So like, okay. So in this case, it has to please Carson Gracie, not them.
Yeah.
You have to. It's completely different. Like, but just an example, of course. Not blaming late Carson Gracie. A lot of respect. Actually, I love that guy. He always treated me with a lot of respect. But just an example, because I have them, him, the big school back in the days, and the other schools, and also they used to control the referee. Now it's everybody. There's a lot of different referees from a lot of different schools. So I think they're trying to do their best. They're trying to be more professional. And they have to be patient because sometimes they make mistakes for sure.
Yeah. So you start competing, life is good, you start loving jiu-jitsu. At which point in your life the thought of doing jiu-jitsu for a living crosses your mind? Like, was this early on as a part of a dream? Like, maybe I can teach, maybe I can do this, or did it, come a little bit later?
Well, it wasn't right in the beginning. Definitely it was when I was a purple belt. So when I was a purple belt, I got my purple belt at 17 years old. So I started to teach. Like there's a class that nobody wanted to teach. It was like, I think it was 6 in the morning or 7 in the morning. And then George asked me, do you want to, I don't know if he asked me or I asked him, but somehow I got the class because I wasn't paying the membership, so that was a way to pay back, so I started, like, we exchanged, like, so I started teaching this class. It was a lot of fun, obviously, I feel bad for all the students back then that I was like a purple belt teaching them, but they definitely helped my experiment of becoming an instructor. It was fun. It was the first time that I felt like more empowered, right? I felt like, okay, now I'm helping people as well. I'm sharing what I like, sharing what I know. So it started over there, and then it just carried on. Like things were like open up in that direction. I have other, like, George found this other location, and he wanted somebody to help out, and then he put some guys there, and eventually when I became a brown belt, he put me there to help, and it became a place that I taught for many years in called San Conrado in Rio de Janeiro. So that was that was another thing that put me in a situation that, okay, I started to make a little bit. No, obviously I wasn't making, I was making money enough to pay my bills. I was living with my parents. I was actually doing university at the same time too. So it was like the university at night, teaching all the way until until 7 p.m. and then university starts 7 p.m. So that's how we went. And then got to the point that when I graduated, then I had to make a decision. You know, I graduated from I was like a business university, and then I started to, you know, the university itself started to send some people, like some business, to me to basically interview me for internship and stuff like that. That was actually the biggest moment that I had to choose, and that's when I chosen to come to the United States. You know, because I was like, okay, I'll either stay here, and because I knew I wouldn't in Brazil the way I was doing there. I was doing everything wrong in terms of running the business. It was really like it's like catching people. Hey, gotta pay. Putting on my notebook, and then some people disappear. They don't pay, and then I go on vacation, and then nobody paid. So it was completely, very, very like. Wrong, I would say, like some people do this to this very day, but very the way that I didn't see anything, moving forward in terms of say, okay, I cannot live off of what I'm doing here. So I say, okay, I'm gonna go to the United States and try see how it goes, how things go over there, like just at a
How
time.
old are you? How old are you at that point?
I was 26 when I came here, but I made the decision probably when about 25. I was
25.
26. Yeah, and then I
You're
spent 1 year.
25 years old. So listen, you are an adult at that point. Like you make decisions about your life. I mean, 25. This is like the beginning of really not growing up, but being independent, right? And was the decision to come to US difficult? I mean, you leaving everything behind.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
But you know what? I don't know why I had this urge. When I was, I think, 17 years old, High and Gracie used to be, I used to hang out with him a lot. He passed away now. So he got himself in trouble. And his dad said that he was going to send him to United States. And then he told his dad, I only go if Paulo goes with me, And I was like, okay, so I guess I'm going to United States, And so I was 17 at that time. We were going to come here and live with the Gracie family that came here, like the very beginning, in the house somewhere, So we'll probably be one of the pioneers with them here in the United States. But so I told my mom, I told my girlfriend, I told everybody. And, somehow the things for him, the problem that he was into it cleared up, So the idea went away. But the seed was planted in my head, because, I envisioned like, man, I'm going to be there in Hickson and going to be those guys and, everybody in the same house and Machados and everybody like, all together. So I was like, and then that just stay with me, I guess, and when I turned 25 years old and I had to make the decision, that I think that, helped make me that decision,
So what year is this? About 90s? 1990s?
When? Which one?
When you came to US?
I came in 2000, exactly.
2000.
Yes.
Okay, so at that point you coming in, and Jiu-Jitsu is not big, but it's somewhat established, right? I mean, UFC's already happened, right? I guess I'm trying to get a perspective. Like in Brazil, you train for years at this point, right? You come to US, you're 25, you train since we were 14, so you train for 10 years at that point, right? You have experience. You know what Jiu-Jitsu is. You come to US, and UFC's already happened, right? So there is an idea of this fighting thing, right? Gracie family slowly is building this up in 2000, right? We got, some of Carson Gracie Sr. is already here. Yes. California is well populated. East Coast, Henzo is already here. Like these guys already established. You get here. What is your perception of Jiu-Jitsu? around US?
Well, first comparing to where I came from was like, okay, there's a lot of room here, lot of room for growth. Because when I came, basically had people had like one school here, one school there. There wasn't a lot of people teaching in California. I remember it was like Kleber Luciano was here, Franginha was here, Rodrigo Medeiros, Joe Moreira, Fabio Santos, Machados, and the Gracies. And I might be forgetting one or two, but that's it. It wasn't like maybe like a handful more, right? And it is funny because they were like in one location, but they like feel like, okay, this location, the whole mine, right? Like Huntington Beach is Clabbers, right? San Diego is this, so that's how it felt. Now today I have 100 people in Huntington Beach, 200 people in San Diego, but that's how it felt, I was happy to be here. I was able to train with the Machados when I moved. I was hanging out with Higan Machado and Jean-Jacques Machado. Those two were like legends that I always look up to, like in Brazil, when they were there. Higan, not much, but I knew of Higan because Higan moved basically a few years right after I started Jiu-Jitsu. So the first tournament that I competed that I mentioned, he was there. I remember he was like the coach for one of the teams. So it was, that was for me, was the most exciting part, right? I was able to be training with them, continue my education with them. So I was pretty excited. I didn't care if I was teaching here, there, making pennies on the dollar, I just wanted to be in that environment. Everything was new culture, new language. But in terms of Jiu-Jitsu, I felt like, it had room to grow. It was, eventually when I was ready, I would, it wouldn't be hard to find a place to make my own.
What do your parents say about this?
Probably, they were very supportive, I would say. But of course, they didn't like it, they preferred. I think, well, in one way they liked it, in one way they didn't like it, right? Like I wasn't going anywhere like in Brazil. I was living with them, but I did, but I don't think they liked the fact that I didn't follow with the business degree that I had. But at the same time, they were like very supportive of my dream, So I never heard any criticism about anything. They helped me every time with everything that I know. If I needed something, that they would help. In the beginning, I have to go to Brazil a lot. I was going back and forth until I got, my work permit to work here. So they always supported me there. They always did what it could do.
So now looking in a retrospect, right? So nearly, about 25 years later, right? Any regrets? What would your life look like if you didn't come to US?
I don't even think about it. Like I have zero regrets, zero. I think everything happened for a reason. I think that my urge to come here was happening for a reason. Not that I lost anything in Brazil, because most of the top Brazilian guys moved here anyways. Brazil just got left out. But we have, like all the people that I've seen competing that I grew up with, they were like stars in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Like a lot of them are here. I would say like the bigger majority, if it's not all. So I think I went to the right direction for sure. No regrets at all.
You said a moment ago that Brazil got left out in a sense. Do you feel that? I mean, that's the truth. Like I never thought about it that way, but majority of the your generation, like not the first generation with the Gracie family, but the one following it, right?
Yeah.
Majority of you guys really migrated, not only US, but around the world, but kind of left Brazil for more opportunities, for better opportunities to do this, to really live this jiu-jitsu lifestyle. Do you feel like the Brazil got left out in the sense of that the quality talent has departed?
Well, a lot of quality has departed for sure, but Brazil's also like a factory of quality, right? Um, people train is a lot harder there than here. Like what happened is Brazil, when people start doing jiu-jitsu and they really take that seriously, they train more because they have more time in their hands. So for example, in Brazil, if you go to school, your school is going to be over around 12:50, something like that. You basically don't have any sports at school. You only play sports at PE, like for 50 minutes, and recess if you qualify to play, right? I remember like I couldn't play much in recess because I wasn't a good soccer player, and everything they do is play soccer. So I couldn't fit in the group. So I ended up being a goalie for a while, and then I play as a goalie, which I did good. But so you understand that those are the things you can do or you can't do. Like everybody else, if you're not playing there, you're not doing anything, any kind of sport. So after you get out of school, all you want to do is something. You want to play sports, and then you have your whole day to do it. Like we can literally train from like whenever you come back from school after lunch to whenever you go to sleep. Um, and if you go to school, some people over there don't even go to school, and then they do jiu-jitsu and then drop school and then they just go 100% and start doing jiu-jitsu, because that's all they got. A lot of people from the favelas and so here is a little bit different, like here, like is the percentage of people that come all the way from young age that do it seriously is a lot less. It doesn't matter the quality of the instruction. At the end of the day, what's more important is time on the mat, right? Like they say that the 10,000 hours, right? So the quicker you put those 10,000 hours, the better you become, right? So I think that's one of the things the reason that I was thinking the other day about that, because, why Brazil always comes with some different people. Not over here, we don't have great people. We have great people now, and they're great because they did that. They didn't do anything else but train jiu-jitsu, but it's the majority, the minority. I teach a lot of kids, and it's hard to make the transition from when they become teenagers to jiu-jitsu. A lot of them want to do something else.
Yeah.
So
Why do you think? I'm really thinking about this, right? So like there's more time in Brazil, and that's lifestyle, that's community, that's culture, that's what this environment is all about. And here in the US, we are by far more busy, right? Like what you said, I see the same thing in my academy. Is like kids come and go, but the ones who really stick around for like 3, 5, 7 years, that's a really small percentage.
Small
right?
percentage,
It's
yes.
very small percentage. Like I'm even thinking now, like I'm trying to connect faces at my academy, and they're like, maybe there's 10, maybe 15 kids that really stuck around for like 5 years, and rest of them, they just come and go. They try different sports and all this. Is that a good thing? Do you feel that the diversity or opportunity for kids to try different sports, or should they really be focused on one?
Well, I think if you want to be good, the best, you definitely have to focus on one. But when you're younger than a teenager, I think diversity is good. I think diversity, it gives your body different perceptions, different mechanics. It's actually not even me. That's actually researched. That diversity, like do different things. Don't go like, oh, at 5 years old you have to be doing jiu-jitsu every day. Like 2 times a day. which you probably will make really good at jiu-jitsu at one point. But at the end of the day, like, you see like the best of the best. They at one point when they were teenagers, they decided to take it seriously and then went through it, right? If you start a little younger than that, not too much younger than being a teenager, and you go through it as well, it gives you advantage. You see like the Ratolo brothers, right?
Mm-hmm.
I know those kids literally when they were like 5 years old or 6 years old competing as a white belt, and they were competing since then and they never stopped, so they are one of the rare say group that have done that, and they're still young. They still have like a lot to go. But yeah, I my opinion is, if you want to be good, really good, amazing, let's say, you gotta focus on what you're doing, and then everything has to be moving around that. Like your cross training has to be moving around that.
Mm-hmm.
Your nutrition has to be going around that, and the longer you stay in this path, the better you're gonna be for sure.
What about adults? I mean, obviously, when you are younger, that first of all, parents can dictate a lot of that, right? Whether
Yes.
it's just jiu-jitsu or other sports. When we are older, in our 20s, 30s, or even older, let's take it as older. When we are, in our 30s, we have career, we have jobs, families, all the other things, and we stumble upon this jiu-jitsu thing, and it feels
Yes.
good. Feels good. How should we be training? I mean, should we care to be the best of the best of the best and really drive hard to become that, or should the approach be more casual?
Well, I'm not gonna say it's impossible, but if you started at a certain age, be the best of the best, it's gonna be really tough. A lot tougher than for the kids that start young, right? I don't see it. I don't see it any best of the best starting old. Because you already have so many habits, right? Your habits, you have now. Your first goal is to break all those habits. When you're young, you already broke those habits as you're going, So by the time you become adult, your habits are being a jiu-jitsu person, right? Jiu-jiteiro, let's say, right? So when you're old, the first thing is breaking the habits, then create new habits, then start improving your jiu-jitsu. But I think is the best decision, in my opinion, they can possibly make, right? Like start doing jiu-jitsu for them, because it's going to give them a sense of security, a confidence that's different than any other confidence. So confidence is great, being able to know that, look, I've been doing all this on the mat, and and going against those people, getting thrown on the ground, people getting me in arm bars, smashing me this way, that way, throwing me here, throwing me there, is is empowering. If you don't see like you're a loser or you're victim or something like that, you know what I mean? If you go through that situation, that okay, this is going to empower me. One day, it actually is empowering me already, because not everybody in the world does jiu-jitsu. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
We're still a low percentage. Another day, I was seeing on Instagram somebody put like percentages. I don't know if the percentages are right, but we're like unicorns. Like a black belt in jiu-jitsu, even though I have thousands already, we're still unicorns in the world of billions of people,
Oh,
right?
I agree. There are so many people not knowing what jiu-jitsu is.
Yes. So if you're a unicorn, in the unicorn, because you have the extra confidence, this extra superpower, that should be empowering, you know. So I think I obviously I'm biased because that's what I do, right? That's people that I teach, but I think how like seeing my students, how they change, how their life changed, So being older, I think you should take like the idea should be, look, you're gonna be my very best. You know what I mean? My very best. You know, I'm not comparing myself with this guy, that guy. Comparison sometimes helps, and sometimes it doesn't, right? Sometimes it helps, like pushes you, like, okay, I want to get that guy. You know what I mean? The fact that all my students want to tap me out, that's good. You know what I mean? Like that pushes them. I become, that's like the carrot. Like, hey, I gotta get this guy. Like keep pushing them. It's some kind of comparison. Like they're trying to, okay, if I get them, get Paulo, maybe, that means I'm getting as good as him. But at the same time, comparison can be bad, right? You start going like, okay, this guy started same time as me, but then you don't realize the guy's 10 years younger than you, or 5 or 6 years younger than you, and don't realize the guy's training more than you, and they start comparing. Or maybe you have so many bad habits that you're gonna take longer,
Yeah.
like it's not that I don't think that, of course people are smarter than the others and everything, but I think even when you're smart, I see smart people that still have a hard time because they have so many bad habits, and sometimes people that are not that smart that doesn't have those bad habits, they get faster, so we never know. Like the idea is like keeping putting water on the seed, putting water on the seed and see how it goes.
Yeah, that's the interesting part, that it is so dynamic. There's so many variables in all of this that it's really even difficult to explain it to somebody who doesn't do it.
Yes.
But then the feeling that you get when you do it is almost irreplaceable. I mean, I don't know if I mean, let me ask you this. Have you ever met one person who said they don't like jiu-jitsu?
Yeah, I've done it. Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
Like sometimes, when you meet a lot of people, sometimes it's just not for them. I always obviously get very surprised when
Yeah.
something like that happens. But it can happen. Sometimes they think it's going to be a different experience. It could be, sometimes you can make that a different experience. So that's why sometimes we can make a different. But at the end of the day, one day they're gonna have to roll somebody. They have to do something with somebody, right?
Yeah.
And some people just they don't like the fact that they're getting beat up. They don't like the fact that they so vulnerable, And I think it's not about the jiu-jitsu, it's just the being vulnerable and being in that position that is exposing you.
Yeah.
And some people don't want to get exposed.
Do you think that's a good thing?
The ones that don't want to get exposed, no. I think you should get exposed. I think that's one of the beauties of jiu-jitsu. Like there's no hiding in jiu-jitsu. I can tell a lot about my student just by looking, like seeing how he trains, how he reacts. You know what I mean? Like I don't care if the guy is this and that, or told me this, told me that. It's not what he told me, is what he's doing. And there's no covering it up. Once you get there and start training, you're exposed. Like now you're showing your real self.
Is that why they use this often? This phrase is being used. The mat is the equalizer, or mat makes people even. Doesn't matter whether you're a doctor or mechanic. Doesn't matter you're 40 or 20. Like it kind of the life evens out on the mat.
Yes, in a certain way, yeah, because exactly, doesn't matter. What matters now is who are you inside. That's what matters now. What you've done, what you accomplished, that's great because that proves that you have something inside. But right now, what matters is how you deal with that, how you're inside. You know what I mean? If you're a nice guy, if not a nice guy, if you're a driven guy, if not a driven guy, if you're a guy that the resilient guy or not, a person that can take punishment, a person that can't take punishment. I see girls sometimes they can take punishment like more than some guys.
I feel sometimes girls are tougher than guys. I don't know. Like,
well, I'm not gonna say anything about who is tougher than the other, but I definitely saw. I just respect more. Like,
Yeah.
not that I don't disrespect the guys, but when I see a girl that's tough, she got all my ultimate respect. You
Yeah.
know,
And
because it's
we
not easy.
well, we've had many female black belts on the show, and we've had these conversations, but I think it is not easy. And you're right. We don't know who's tougher, but I think it's not easy for a female to step on the mat and be in a male dominant environment, because that's what jiu-jitsu is today. Even though there is a lot of women training today, more than there was before,
Yeah.
but I think it's still male dominated sport and male dominated environment, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
We're still a long way to go. Might not even happen because, you know, girls, a lot of girls are more concerned about, you know, their nails and their hair than with their personal self-defense, you know.
Yeah.
Which is okay, you know, like it is what it is. For guys, a little bit less because, you know, we're not worried about that, you know. So most of us, I guess. But yeah, in terms of girls in the sport, we just like, if jiu-jitsu in the world is a low percentage, that's even more of a unicorn.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. You're absolutely right. Professor, we've been at this almost an hour.
Okay.
Before we start finishing this up, what we do every episode is that we have a question from our previous guest, but he had no idea who's going to be answering it. So think of it like he asked a question completely in blind. He had no idea that you're going to be right after him, but he asked this question, and this is a phenomenal question, phenomenally fitting question. This question was, what is the most innovative, or was the biggest innovation that America brought to jiu-jitsu?
Okay. Well, I'm gonna say, you know, I could say back in the days, the improvement of how attack the legs and stuff like that. But I think it's beyond that. I think that is part of it. But I would say is definitely focus on the Nogi part. You know what I mean? How to approach, um, you know, like there's some smart guys out there now. They're putting a lot of time, you know, developing things that should be developed. I think the defiance too. They defined the norms, you know, because, you know, all those things started because somebody defined the norm, right? Like, people, because, you know, back in the days, footlocks and stuff like that were like booed when people did during the tournaments, right? So that was a norm. That was how I grew up with, you know, until I came to America. And then I have this guy in the school, the purple belt there, that tried to get my ankle all the time and my heel. And he didn't care if it was a heel hook with the gi. He just didn't care. If he got my heel, in his mind, it would be a tap, right? Which it was going to be a tap. And he was right. You know, I could say, oh, but you got my heel with the gi, blah, blah, blah. But who cares, man? A tap is a tap, you know? And a black belt especially should be ready for all kinds of submissions. So I think, you know, a lot of, you know, a group of smart people put a lot of thought into it. And then because they define the norms and they start going into things that was almost like a set in stone, but they are not completely right, you know, and they start to adding stuff with looking a different way. And that, you know, we move us to a new level. You see, like right now, like, you know, the best in the world, you know, Nogi is an American guy, you know, and you know, and it's nothing to talk about. People can say whatever they want, you know. I see many of those fights. Gordon Ryan put down many guys that are considered good, and they play with those guys like in playing with kids, you know. So that means, you know, here's something there, you know. But that, you know, opened the minds for all other people. Now today, you know, it's not, you know, again, it's once that trend start to go there, and as people start getting their minds, and then it goes beyond America. You know, there's people from all over the world today adding to it. That's what makes jiu-jitsu, infinite and amazing, right? Because now there's other things, and then people going other ways, and other ways to submit, this and that, and they keep going. And then the IBJJF trying to keep up with the trend. And then, which I say evolution, right? Some people might disagree with me. I have a lot of friends that might disagree with me right now, but I think it's evolution. I think as a self-defense, you need to know everything possible to tap somebody out. That's what you want, right? As long as like give some damage on your opponent, on your aggressor, and that could take you to dominate and win the fight. That's the point.
I mean, phenomenal point here. And as I'm listening to you, as I'm reflecting on all of this, I can't help myself to ask: do you think that no-gi is becoming more present than the gi? What started, decades ago as a traditional martial art in the gi. I mean, this is how I started. I would envision that's how you started mostly.
Yes.
Today, it's shifting, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if the shift is 100% good, for many reasons. Obviously, if you got to a good school, it can be really good. But I don't see there's a lot of things that training with the gi it will give you, like some you get, especially defensively, right? Because obviously you cannot have more options attacking with the gi. Therefore, you have to work harder defending with the gi. You don't have to. There's no way you can slip because it's sweaty. So you have to be precise on things you do defensively. Not so offensively, but defensively for sure. And so yeah, so that thing I think is left open on no-gi. A lot of no-gi. I see people coming from other schools here at my school. They're very good at no-gi, come from other no-gi schools. And they're really good getting the heel, and they get a bunch of people they are not used to. But then people start getting used to, and then you realize behind that is empty. There's a lot of fundamentals that are not there. You know what I mean? There's a lot of fundamentals that's not there. And so again, people can say gi, no gi. At the end of the day, it's the school. It's who's teaching you. It can be a guy that's famous in no gi, but he's famous because he had one technique, another technique. But does he know the fundamentals, right? He's be able to pass the fundamentals to everybody. Gi and no gi. When I say fundamentals are fundamentals. Doesn't matter if you're gi or no gi. So that's the thing that's going to be always going. Obviously, people try to push gi now, try to compete against each other, but just two parts of the same. I also believe for a normal guy, an average Joe guy, training with the gi is better, is safer. Get him to do their workout. We don't have to worry about being heel hook all the time, this and that. Gradually, he can learn that. If you want to gravitate to no-gi and train like that, it's just safer for them and it's more pleasant. That's why the no-gi, like you don't see a lot of older guys no-gi. You see a lot of young guys. But you'll see like a school full of old no-gi guys. Because the old guy doesn't want to do no-gi anymore. He wants to start, okay, I want to do gi more. It's a little bit slower. I can hold a person in this position. So I don't think one ever gonna. They can be going over this guy. This one is better. That one is better. This one is better. Or this one is more realistic to fight. Blah blah. But they both complete each other, and they're both important. I don't think one is even more important than the other. You know what I mean? For me, they're equally important. And I think the people that say otherwise might be just being promoting themselves.
Yeah, there might be the case. Also, it's just the opportunity for different people to train different things is something that we haven't seen in the past. And I think all that is contributing to the growth of jiu-jitsu, doesn't it?
Yeah. And, growth of no-gi, the the tournaments Nogi, they pay money now, and
Mhm.
all this trend, I think it's just benefit, like I don't think we go in the wrong direction, you know. Uh, Obviously, as a business owner, like, have to be careful, right? Like, how you're gonna teach your students, right? Because if you, let's say I teach and everybody get hurt, and then I'll have students. Oh, I have a handful, or maybe 50 tough guys, and everybody else, um, and that takes away from the people that really need jiu-jitsu, which is the people that would not be able to keep up with those things, right?
Yeah.
Um, so yeah,
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree. We'll see where the future takes us, because that's the interesting part. I think we are in a very unique point of life where jiu-jitsu will continue growing, and this might be beyond us. We might be long gone, but the young kids who are just growing up now, they're the future of where
yeah,
jiu-jitsu is going to go.
I think I have a long way to go still.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's going to be, well, yeah, let's see. I think that was the original dream, of Master Carlos Gracie Sr., to spread the world, the jiu-jitsu to, everybody,
Everybody. Yeah.
so it's happening.
Yeah, no, definitely is. We looking at unfold in front of our eyes. Before we wrap this up, Professor, I know you have a book out there. Talk to us a little bit about this. Tell us what is this all about, and we'll definitely post the links to the book in the show notes if you guys are interested in picking that up and taking a read. But tell us what is the 21 principles that you talk about?
Well, yeah, when I wrote the book, like on 2000, well, I published in 2015, but I
Mm-hmm.
wrote it, maybe 2013, 14, when I decided to write the book, which is a Mastering the 21 Immutable Principles of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. First, I want to make a different book, right? Because most of the books over there were like about techniques and, like do this technique, do this, do that. But, I have about a bunch of technique books in my house. It's not as easy to learn from the technique book. You can get an idea. It's not even perfect to learn from videos. Even videos, you're gonna leave a lot of stuff like unseen and a lot of details that you're gonna miss. So I said, okay, I'm gonna do something that is talk about more the principles of jiu-jitsu that I think was things that are like immutable, right? Like that they don't change. Talk about the fundamentals and stuff like that. And one of my students, because I was teaching privates, and I always come up with some analogies, So my book has a bunch of analogies, like the wet rug. It's funny because I listen to the wet rug a lot now, and that's my book. I wrote that wet rug principle. I don't know if they took that from my book, probably did, but I hear like, oh, the wet rug. Now, Gordon Ryan is one of them. Like, oh, wet rug, put this and this and that. So, well, I don't know who read it or not, but there's a lot of principles like that: the wet rug, the leak, the leak in the bucket, the brave heart. So I started making a lot of analogies because I was making those analogies as I was teaching my classes,
Mm-hmm.
And one day I realized, man, you know what? I'm gonna write them down. I'm gonna start writing them down. I'm gonna go home, teach the class, whatever the one analogy comes from a certain situation. I'm gonna go home and write it down. So I started writing it down, and then it went all the way to 21, And then I said, okay, I'm gonna stop here. Not that I think they are the only 21, because I literally stopped there because it was a good number, 21, I don't want 20 to 23. I would say 21 is good. 21 is good. The other number that I was looking for was 11, but I started going way beyond 11, and then I stopped on the 21, and then I stopped there. But yeah, so basically I talk about anatomy. So things that anyone, beginners, anyone can look and it's okay, you know, that's something that can help me. And I think it does because I actually get emails from almost every month from people that read my book that mention something about the book,
I think what's even more interesting about this is the fact that when we start jiu-jitsu, there is so much information around us that it often is just too much.
Yeah.
And simplifying this in the principal format this principle can be applied anywhere as long as this happens.
Exactly.
Right? It makes it so much easier for students to really understand jiu-jitsu. Because, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's all about understanding jiu-jitsu. Like, if you understand how it works, things are easier, right?
Yes. Like lately, I got this email. Somebody said, "Yeah, I'm already using the wet rug and it's working for me here, this and that." You know what I mean? Like, I don't know how they're using the wet rug.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't know. They didn't. There was like, I think a girl. I don't know. Could be. It was a name that could go both ways. But you know, I don't know. They using the principle in their mind.
Yeah.
They using somehow. You know,
Yeah.
can be passing the card, can be side control, can be. But the person was very, very happy. You know, saying like, "Look, it's working because I'm understanding now that I have to be more relaxed. That I have to, you know, cannot be just stiff. And then if it be the stiffness, you know, it's easy to get rid of. You know."
For sure. Is the book available on your website? I know it's on Amazon, but is it on your website too, or what's the preferred way to find it?
Amazon, yeah. Amazon. For a long time, you used to be on the top there. Now, I don't know, depending on the word you choose. I think Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, if you go Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu books on Amazon, I'm probably going to be the second or the third.
Well, we'll definitely post a link in the show notes. So if you guys are interested in the principles, I encourage you to check it out. It might change the way how you think about this.
All right,
Professor, we've been at this for over an hour. Let's wrap this up slowly. I do appreciate you being here. This conversation was really interesting, just from a perspective of digging deep in there, right? Oftentimes, over the time of decades, we get all this knowledge inside our minds, and conversations like this really open up, not only between us, but the people who listen to it. You know, the hope here is to really get some takeaways, learn lessons that we can pass on to other people, you know, as they are maybe even starting the journey. So thank you for being here. Where can anybody find you? Are you like available on social media? Are you present? Do you answer if anybody wants to connect with you?
Yeah. You can find me as on Instagram, Paulo Guillobel. You can also find me on Facebook. My website is guillobeldojo.com. I have bjjonlinetraining.com as well. But yeah, if you send me a message on any one of those medias, I will return. You know, like sometimes not right away, but you know, I always take a look. I always try to return, especially the people that bought the book. You know, because I think like indirectly, I'm like, we're connected, right? Because, you know, like I'm not their teacher, not their professor, not their sensei, but we indirectly connected. Like, you know, they learn from me in a way. So yeah, so that's how you find me.
Well, definitely.
And I live in San Clemente, California.
Absolutely. So if you're in the area, you want to stop by and visit, we highly encourage you. And as always, we'll put all the links in the show notes. So if you missed part of it during the conversation, just scroll down and you will get all the links to connect and continue that journey. Let's wrap this up for today. I appreciate you being here. I appreciate the candid conversation, sharing all the stories from your childhood and a lot of the wisdom that you have up to this point. And thank you for everything that you do in Jiu-Jitsu, because without guys like you, this wouldn't grow. So I appreciate it.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for having me here. It was a pleasure.
All right, let's wrap it up.
Thank you for listening to RŌL Radio. If you enjoyed the show, don't forget to leave us a review and help us make the show even more amazing. For future episodes, check out our website and follow us on all major podcast platforms. Take care.